Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian Accent guy, and today we again have a lot of new fight announcements, including a champ versus champ heavyweight bout in boxing that is going to be big. So without wasting any time, we start the video, and you do not look at the sofa because that chair was so uncomfortable. So the title fight I'm talking about is announced by Queensberry. They announced their card named All or Nothing for O2 Arena, London, England for October 25th on DAZN pay-per-view. WBO interim champion Joseph Parker, who is coming off the first defense of his belt against Martin Bakole via knockout, and he will be taking on WBA interim champion 19-0 undefeated Englishman Fabio Wardley, who just won his title in June by knocking out then top 10 ranked opponent Justice Huni. Joseph Parker was already mandatory for Alexander Usyk, but then Usyk applied an extension in that mandatory defense because, according to him, he got a minor injury in his back, which required 3 months time. So the WBO will provide him that time period if he successfully convinces them about his dance video and provides them the report of his injury. Anyway, in the meantime, Joseph Parker is taking this fight, and the winner of this fight will most probably be fighting Alexander Usyk. Next, the undercard fights include WBA middleweight title eliminator between number 1 ranked Denzel Bentley and number 2 ranked Henry Saavedra. Bentley is riding a 3-fight win streak, while Saavedra is on a 5-fight unbeaten streak after losing his O in 2022. The winner will be the mandatory for WBO and IBF unified champion Janibek Alim Khanuli. Then another fight is a light heavyweight bout for the British light heavyweight title, where their 12-0 undefeated prospect Ezra Taylor will be taking on Lewis Edmondson, who just lost his O from Daniel Lepin. Then lastly, a super featherweight bout between IBF and WBO number 13 ranked 13-0 undefeated Danny Quatermaine and 14-0 undefeated Royston Barney-Smith. WBC lightweight title eliminator to determine the next mandatory for Shakur Stevenson between number 2 ranked Chadia Herrera versus number 4 ranked Ricardo Nunes is also expected to be on this card, but it needs confirmation. Anyway, as you already know, Vitor Belfort is out from Wanderlei Silva fight. Now, Spaten Fight Night 2 has the replacement, and it is former super featherweight and lightweight champion Acelino Freitas. Moreover, there is another card, a third card for Canelo Crawford Fight Week has been confirmed between some boxers you maybe don't know. Anyway, if we're talking about Canelo versus Crawford, there was an IBF super middleweight title eliminator between number 2 ranked Vladimir Shishkin versus number 3 ranked Osles Iglesias, and Iglesias knocked out Shishkin and moves to 14-0, and he is now the mandatory challenger for Canelo versus Crawford winner. Moreover, this was not the only important boxing fight this weekend. Eduardo Sugar Nunes also defeats Christopher Diaz in a fight of the year contender to retain his IBF super featherweight title for the first time. He then faced off WBO super featherweight champion Emmanuel Navarrete, and Eddie Hearn is talking about making that fight, but it seems almost impossible because Emmanuel Navarrete is currently mandated to rematch Suarez. So I will advise you not to get false hopes. Now let's move towards the UFC Paris card, where Nasruddin Imavov in the headliner defeats Caio Borralho via unanimous decision, and he is now probably the next challenger for Khamzat Chimaev, but it is not 100% confirmed as per David Shaw, who in the post-event press conference says that Dana White had stated that the winner of tonight's main event and the winner of the UFC Vancouver main event between RDR and Hernandez were both being considered as the next middleweight title challengers. So the UFC will wait for RDR versus Hernandez fight to decide the next challenger for Khamzat Chimaev. Anyway, this was the reaction of the champion Khamzat Chimaev and then Rainier de Ridder on Imavov's win. And this was the reaction of Sean Strickland on Borralho's loss. Anyway, despite all these talks, Nasruddin Imavov said he is not worried at all about the matchup between RDR and Hernandez. because he believes he has done enough to earn the next title shot. He says his 5 wins over top 10 opponents should be enough when it comes down to determining who should get the next title shot. He says as far as sending a message to Khamzat Chimaev, he doesn't have one because his concern is the gold itself and not the person holding it. Then Nasruddin Imavov shared his video weighing 194 pounds only on fight night against Kaio Bohayo, which is amazing. It is the totally opposite of weight bullies. If you don't know, the normal weight of former lightweights like Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier was around 190 pounds, and the middleweights like Paulo Costa and former middleweight Alex Pereira moves around 225 pounds. So this means that he can probably cut to the welterweight division as well. Anyway, that's not our topic. If we talk about Benoit Saint-Denis, he after his win calls out Arman Sarukian and Mateusz Gamrot. Anyway, Sarukjan had not responded to him, but Gamrot has accepted Benoit Saint-Denis' call out after UFC Paris and says if you want the smoke, let's go in December. If this fight happened, it could be a grudge match because Benoit Saint-Denis has previously ducked Mateusz Gamrot, and they had also exchanged some words. Moreover, Patricio Pitbull, who was also supposed to fight on this card, called out Arnold Allen and also shares the list of some UFC fighters who are agreed to fight him at UFC Rio. But now it's UFC's job if they wants to put Pitbull on UFC Rio card or not. Moreover, if we talk about Pitbull's opponent, who was the reason for the fight to be pulled off, Lozine Chieta, UFC executive David Shaw tells media that he believes Lozine Chieta still has a future in the UFC, and while he doesn't know the specifics, they look forward to having him on the roster. He says he has not heard anything about Chieta being released from the roster, so maybe the news about him being released from the UFC are fake, but maybe there is also a small, very small possibility that maybe he is released and Shaw doesn't know about it. Anyway, now in the end of this video, let's talk about the UFC fight announcements. Only one fight in the UFC is now confirmed, and that is also not complete. Themba Gorimbo, whose 4-fight win streak was broken by Vicente Luque in December 2024, he told his fan via Twitter that he is returning at UFC Vegas 110 on November 1st, but he did not name his opponent. Anyway, the biggest fight news from the UFC is from UFC 223 Las Vegas card on December 6th. A bantamweight bout between number 1 ranked Sean O'Malley versus number 5 ranked Song Yadong is in works. O'Malley is currently coming off back-to-back losses from Merab Dvalishvili and he is looking to rebound, while Song Yadong is 3-1 in his last 4 fights and he lost only to Peter Yan in these 4. Currently coming off a win over Henry Cejudo via IPOC. And that's all in this video. Now you are again completely up to date with the fight world. Now you know what fights are going to happen and what fights are in works. If you like this video, if you want to stay updated with the fight schedule, you know what you are supposed to do. So do it and then do whatever you want.